What is up, my fellow Showiteers, my friends, my family, my citizens? It's so good to have you. Thank you for joining us live. We are about to dive in. We're going to wait for a few folks to just kind of join us on this WordPress journey. And I'm going to mute my phone, which is playing back what I just said. So good to have you. Today is all about WordPress. We're going to do like a WordPress 101. We're going to dive into your blog and your posts so you can be confident about posting some amazing blog posts so that people can find you on the internet, they can read your stuff, and they can realize just how amazing you are. We know it, you know it, but we want the internet to know it. So that's what today is all about. So I am happy that you are joining me here today. Hey, I'd love to know where you're from, where you're watching from, where you find yourself in this season of life. So shout out, tell me where you're at. I'm right here in our studios at the Showit offices in Chandler, Arizona. It is a spicy, let's see, like a 92 degrees right now, which is a little bit ridiculous. We're encroaching upon the triple digits here in Arizona. So it's the time of the year where all Arizonans just kind of go inside and they don't think about anything other than nice, cool air conditioning, or maybe, venturing out and going to the pool. But that's about all that we're doing right now in this season of time. So it's a lot of fun, but honestly, it's worth it, because if you've ever been here like right around November, it is an amazing time of year. It's a lot of fun. And speaking of November, we have the Showit Spark conference coming up that if you haven't signed up for, I want to encourage you to do that, because as time goes on, those tickets are going to get more and more expensive. So there's no better time to sign up for the Spark conference, which is all about helping you be a creative entrepreneur in a better way, build your business, build your website. We've got a lot of awesome, amazing speakers coming up. So if you're interested in that, go to spark.showit.co and get all of the information out here. Beautiful Tempe, Arizona, in the most amazing time of the year for Arizona. So again, if you're just joining us, so glad that you're here. My name is Chris. I am the UX/web designer / a whole bunch of other things that is a lot of fun that I get to do here on the Showit team. If you're new to the blogging world, it can be a little bit intimidating to try to figure out, where do I log in? Where do I go to put a blog post? How do I add images? How do I add galleries? What if I want to do something else on my blog post? Like that, those are all of the questions that we are going to answer, so that after today, you've got some resources and you've got a little bit of experience watching somebody do it, so that you can go and do it yourself and be much more confident in it. But before we get started, before we dive into the nitty gritty, I just want to make sure that you understand a couple of things. Number one, the best way to kind of work with me today is not to try to do what I do at the same time. I know that there's some tutorials where they're like, follow along with me, but that I've found that that's a little bit overwhelming. And if something's not working right, or if something doesn't look quite the same as what my screen looks like, you can feel a little bit lost. So just watch me go through this. And then we are going to keep this video live. So it's going to stay recorded so that you can go back, you can watch it, you can rewind, and you can take some of those lessons and just re-implement them, or figure out if there's something that you missed, or all of that stuff. So don't feel like you've got to do exactly what I do as I'm doing it. Watch the whole thing and then come back when you need to, if there's gaps in your knowledge or gaps in your understanding of what you're going to be doing. So don't feel that pressure. The other thing is that we're going to have a little bit of a Q&A at the end of this. So if you've got questions that I wasn't quite able to answer after it's all said and done, keep those in your back pocket. and then we're gonna address them as best as we can. We've also got some other moderators in the comments who are going to be helping you out, probably sending you documents to our help docs, links to all those things, so that if you have stuff that comes up, they'll just right away kind of send you some links for that. So shout out to Hey, Cassandra, and James, and whoever else is in there. They are awesome people, and they're going to be super helpful. So okay, I say we just go ahead and we dive in. And we go for it. Wait, I'm getting a signal from my moderator. You want me to talk on comments?
I need you to call interview again.
Oh, okay. We lost my internet, so I'm going to reconnect here. All right. And there's Hey up in the comments. This might just be Showit people live here with me. So thank you to everybody tuning in. But it's great. I'm sure that we will have a ton of folks watching back later on. So no worries. Still a lot of fun. I'm going to share my screen, Mr. Jed. Everybody give a shout out to Jed, who is running cameras and doing all the switching. Jed, are you able to see my screen now? Nope. Okay. I am. There we go. Are you getting it now? Okay. I've been kicked off. Welcome, Carmen. So good to have you. Thank you, as we're trying to work out some of these issues that we thought we had all worked out. Oh, the beauty of technology makes it amazing and fun, but also makes you wonder if you're going crazy, if you've done something wrong or looked at the help docs incorrectly. Okay, I'm getting the thumbs up, so we are good to go. I'm going to minimize this screen, and we're going to go for it. All right. Now, Jed, I'm hearing myself play back. Okay. All right. So here I've got my WordPress website that is using our Monstera. It's a free template in the Showit store. It's a great template that we actually just added. It's beautiful. It's got a lot of really modern design, and it's got a wonderful peach and mint color to it. Peach is my wife's favorite color, and in case you're wondering, her birthday is October 15th. In case you would want to send her something nice and peachy, I definitely suggest that you do that. So the first question that we get a lot with our blogs is, where do I go to log in? And it's a valid question, right? So what you want to do is go to the URL of your website, which would be www.myawesomewebsite.com. For me, it's a little bit different because I'm doing a local website, which you don't even need to worry about. But you would do / and then wp-login.php. So that's kind of the nerdy way to do it. There's links in your Showit account that's going to take you there at the same time as well. But if you want to, rather than have to remember this every single time or find it in your Showit account, you can just bookmark this page, right? Like super simple. So I'm going to say bookmark this page, and I'm going to tell it where I want it to go, and then you'll be able to find it. You can bookmark it in this, bookmarks are my favorite thing. Like, I've got all my favorite bookmarks here that I just click on the stuff that I need to have easy access to, and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to hit enter, and this is going to take me to my WordPress login. So your WordPress login is different than your Showit login, right? So your Showit login looks like this. It's got all the pretty images, and it says Showit on the top. So this is not where you go to blog, right? Kind of a misnomer on the difference between your Showit app and your WordPress blog. So I'm going to log into my Showit account so that you can see the difference. So my Showit account, and I'm going to get out of that website so I can go to the Monstera example website. And then I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to log in to my WordPress dashboard. So hopefully everybody understands the difference between the Showit app and the WordPress dashboard. So, okay, here we go. We've got our WordPress dashboard. Now, your dashboard, it could potentially look incredibly different than mine does. So don't let that intimidate you. It's all basically the same thing with some minor differences. So I'm just going to kind of do a quick overview of what we're looking at here. Okay, this is saying welcome to WordPress. This is my version of WordPress that I'm running. I don't need any of that. Now, a fun little thing about your Showit blog is if you want to know the latest stuff that's happening, all you have to do is look down here and you see the Showit blog. So these are the latest things that Showit has published to let you know what is happening. And lo and behold, here we go. We've got Spark registration is now open. So just like I mentioned, if you haven't signed up for Spark, I definitely encourage you to do that. Okay, so we're not going to talk about a lot of this stuff because most of it doesn't even matter in our conversation today. What matters today is where your blog posts are going to be added. And you have a lot of options when it comes to adding a blog post. So if you look up here at the very top, you'll see a plus sign with the word new. Now you can add a blog post by just going to new and then post, and then that's just automatically going to add a new blog post. You see the wheels are spinning and it's getting ready, and then bam, there you go. I'm going to go out of that by hitting this W, and that's going to take me back to my dashboard. Another place that you can do it is you can go to this little this little link here on the side panel that says post, and it's got a little pin icon. So if you're not seeing that, chances are that you've collapsed your menu. And so if you just click this, looks like a backwards play button, you can just toggle that on and off, and you can kind of know like, okay, that's where that is. And maybe you memorize the icons to the things in your WordPress dashboard, but I certainly don't. So just toggle that open if you don't see it. So you can scroll over post, and then you can click add new. That's the second way that you can add a new post, or you can just click post, and that'll take you to all of your blog posts. And at the very top, you can just see add new. So obviously you see that there's just a ton of different ways that you can go in and add a new post. Let's say you were on, here's another way. Here's a fourth way. Let's say that you were on your website on a WordPress page, right? So even that add new and post is right there, accessed for you. Now, you might have noticed on the homepage that WordPress little bar wasn't quite there, right? And the reason for that is this actually isn't a WordPress page in our Showit site. So the way that you know whether or not that's true is if you go to site, you'll see pages. These are just static pages, and then under blog templates, these are our WordPress pages, right? And I know that's a little bit confusing, but just take it at face value. You won't see that bar unless the page is set to a blog template. So right over here, if I click on blog, then we see we've got new and then post, okay? So I'm gonna add a new post, right? And then we've got some basic options, okay? The first thing that is the real obvious one is that we've got our title. So I'm just gonna add a new title. I'm just gonna say, this is my first awesome post. So this will be the title of your blog post, and it will potentially also be the link or the URL that is associated with this blog post. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but suffice it to say, most of the time, depending on your settings, and it's likely that this is the default that you set, this will be, www.mywebsite/this-is-my-first-awesome-post, right? And that's where you send people to go to this awesome posts that you're creating, right? So, and you can see that over here on this little setting, this console here on the permalink. When we publish this, this will turn from $P=114 to what that is. So I'll just publish this now so you can see what it looks like, right? All right, so I'll get rid of that. And then we see like, okay, there it is right there. This dash is dash my first dash awesome dash post, right? Okay, I think you get it. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about adding content to your post, right? WordPress has a block system that they've just recently rolled out. Now, if your WordPress website isn't up to date, it might look a little bit different. You have to go pretty far back in order for it not to look like this. So if you haven't updated in a very long time, it might look a little bit different. And then from that point, I would say it's probably time to do some updates on the WordPress side of things. But more than likely, this is what your WordPress blog post is going to look like. You'll see just what I see here. And you see type a / to choose a block. So I'm just going to do that to show you what it looks like, right? Because you've got a few options when it comes to the blocks that you can add to your WordPress blog post. So I typed / and then it gave me just a few of the common blocks that WordPress says more than likely you're going to want to pick from one of these options, right? We've got a short code, which is WordPress jargon. We've got image, we've got a heading, we've got a gallery, list, quote, archives, audio, buttons, all sorts of different things. So that's one way to add a block. Another way to add a block is just to press the add block plus sign, right? And then from there, you can actually search. And so let's say we search for gallery, and it's going to bring up a whole bunch of options for all the galleries that we can add. Another way to do that, because WordPress loves giving people multiple options, is just to toggle the block inserter, right? So it's this plus sign up next to the big WordPress logo, right? So then I can do the same thing, right? I can type in gallery, and it's going to give me a whole bunch of different options for the galleries that I'm able to insert as a block into my WordPress website. So let me just type in a little bit of dummy content, and I'm just going to get some lorem ipsum just so that we can see what that looks like. Let's just add one paragraph. I'm going to copy that, put that back in here. So this is a text block. Now I'm going to go in and add some images. Now you have a whole bunch of different options for the type of gallery that you want to add or are available to add on your WordPress website, right? So the one that's standard is just this black and white. It says gallery, and then you see these little green galleries. Now, this is from a plugin called Jetpack. So one of the amazing things about WordPress is that you can add on all these plugins that gives your site a ton of different levels of functionality, right? So with Showit, there are 2 tiers to a WordPress site, right? So the tier 1 is a Showit site without a WordPress blog. So if you're on the tier 1 plan and you're like, wait a second, I can't find any of this stuff, that's because it's actually not available to you, and you need to upgrade to tier 2 or tier 3 in order to access the WordPress side of things, right? So tier 2, you get some plugins that are just standard. They're already set up in your site. You don't have to worry about it. You necessarily need to upgrade to tier 3. But if you are on tier 3, the Jetpack plugin actually isn't available right when you log in. You have to add it right away. If you aren't on tier 2, the tier 2 plan of our Showit plans, then you're going to have to add the Jetpack plugin, by yourself. So let me just show you how to do that real quick. I'm gonna switch to a draft to just save this blog post, and I'm gonna go to plugins, and you'll see I've got my Jetpack plugin here. But all you have to do if you don't see that is go to add new, and then you can just type in Jetpack, and then it's gonna show up right there, and it's gonna tell you a list of different types of plugins that have the word Jetpack in them, okay? Another thing, if you're not happy and you're on tier 3 of the Showit plans, if you're not happy with the gallery that is in Jetpack or the gallery that is just automatically in the WordPress core, all you have to do is search for, a gallery plugin, right? And then you're gonna see tons of different options, right? So my suggestion is, if you're looking for a gallery, go to one that has a lot of active installations and it has a good rating, right? That's going to be probably a clear sign that this is a pretty well supported plugin and a lot of people use it and enjoy it, right? So when you come down here and you see like this only has 164 ratings, it's only got 10,000 plus, that's not like a lot in the WordPress world, right? And then you can go down even further and see less and less. So let me go back to my post here on this draft that we were working on, and let's just add, let's get crazy. Let's just get crazy and add a gallery together, okay? So I'm gonna hit plus, I'm gonna add gallery, and I'm just gonna do the regular WordPress gallery because it's actually very, very powerful. So I'm gonna upload some images, and I had some images all ready to go for you. So let me just add a few of these puppies, and then we will just open them. And it's going to load these, and it's going to take a little bit of time to load because these are really big images. So you can see it kind of just scrolling and scrolling. My suggestion, whenever you add images to a blog post, you want to make sure that they are optimized for the internet. So like if we look over at these images that I just added and we look at them, we can see down here in the stats of this is 1.2 megabytes, right? Like that's a really big photo to add to a website. Now I know a lot of you are photographers. You want your photos to be crispy and clean, and you want them to look amazing because you put a lot of work into it. You got an awesome camera. You're good at your craft, but there are ways to compress your images to where they're smaller in file size, but they still show up really crystal clear and they look great to everybody that is visiting your website. And if you just search image compression on the internet, there's going to be a lot of options there. If you use Photoshop, there's options there. If you use that one app that a lot of photographer uses, what is that called, Jed? You don't know. We're all getting stage fright as we're thinking of it. The photo editing application. Lightroom. If you use Lightroom, there are options for it to be a smaller file size, but they are still quality images. So suffice it to say, you want to spend a little bit of time making sure that you've made your images a little bit smaller in size so that they load a little bit faster, so that users aren't just waiting around for your images to load because they're just so freaking huge. So anyways, all that to be said, we've got our gallery here. Now there's a few things that you'll notice. If you click on individual images, you've got some options, right? You can replace it. You can crop the things. You can delete them. You can go through and add captions to it, right? There's a whole bunch of different stuff that you can do to it. So a few things that I think are kind of important, to address with this is, number one, you want to make sure that you're setting alt text or alt descriptions to each of the images, right? So you'll see the alt text over on this side of the screen where it says block, right? So there's the post link and then there's the block link. And if you're not seeing that, it's likely because this little gear setting has been pressed and it's just kind of out of view. So, and sometimes people like shutting that off so that when they're blogging, they don't get distracted. They can just type and add stuff and it doesn't, they don't get distracted by all the changing things. So I'm going to come through and I'm going to say, like awesome couple getting married, right? So then you click another one, that goes away. So you've got to add an alt text for each of these images. And the reason why that is important is for accessibility reasons, and also because Google is looking for that when it comes to like SEO. They're actually preferring sites that are taking the time to add the alt text to their images in their post or in their web pages. So don't let that intimidate you. If you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, I don't have time to do that. It's better to do something rather than nothing. Like an imperfect something is better than a perfect nothing, right? That's what my coach would always tell me in high school, right? So the little bit of effort that you have, like if all you can do is just add images, like let that be it. But if you want to go a step further, then you can add some of these descriptions in the alt text. Awesome couple too. Okay, so let's talk about a few of the options that you have with your image gallery. So one of the things that you'll see is you can change the file size to be full size, or go to thumbnail, or go to extra large, and it will change the file size based on your settings in the WordPress system, right? Another thing is you can, like change out, oh, here we go. I think I clicked off. Let's go back. You can change out how it's rounded or not, to do different things. Obviously that looks a little funky, but suffice it to say, just kind of play around with these settings until you've dialed them in how you want them to be dialed in, okay? And different galleries are going to have a lot of different settings, a lot of different options for what you can or can't do. But the main thing again is to make sure that your images are compressed, that they're small in size, and that you're adding alt text to them, and then fun thing, you can like move the images around and do different things. You can crop them to move them, like, oh, I don't want that part of their face to show. I want a little bit different of a part of their face to show. You can go on and just customize it until you're blue in the face. So, go for it. All right, so let's move on. That's the gallery. There's a whole bunch of other different types of blocks that you can put in. So I encourage you just to kind of scroll through this list and see if there's something that would appeal to what you're going to be blogging about. Like we're not going to have time to go through all of these things, but suffice it to say, it's a lot of stuff. WordPress is adding more stuff as time goes on. And then if you are on tier 3 of our WordPress pricing plan, then you can add even more. So it all depends on what you want to do. Okay, so let's go down a little bit, and you're going to see something called Yoast SEO. And I know that SEO is like a big buzzword for blogging, and so you probably all have a lot of questions about what do I do to get my site to show up as the first page on the first page in Google, right? And that is not this webinar. That's a much more involved conversation, but there are a few basic things that you can do that set you out on the right foot, that even if you don't do anything else, this is going to set you apart from a lot of other websites that just aren't doing these things, right? So we've got Yoast SEO here. Yoast is a plugin that comes automatically in our tier 3 plan or tier 2 plan. If you're on tier 3, you just add it yourself, right? It's not going to come automatically, but you can just go in and add it yourself, just like I showed you how to add Jetpack. But one way or another, it's easy to add. There are a lot of other SEO options as far as plugins go, but Yoast is one of the preliminary ones that's out there. And so it's one that we recommend, and it's super easy to use. It's intuitive. So there's a lot of stuff that you could get into on this that is like, what does this mean? What does that mean? We're not going to talk about any of that. There's two main things that you need to focus on, right? You need to focus on your SEO title and your meta description, okay? Because if you don't add these, then Google is going to add it themselves. And we never really like what Google adds themselves, because it's always a little less telling of what the site is actually about. They're gonna just pick a random paragraph in your website, and that's gonna be the meta description. So for instance, you see these little bubbles here. These are just Yoast like short codes that they've put in, where it's saying you've got your title, you've got your page, you've got your separator, you've got your site title. Typically what I do is I take the site title out and I take that separator out. So it's got title and page, but you could take both out and you could say, this is my awesome blog post about awesome stuff, right? and then you're good to go. And you'll see this little green indicator that is lighting up the longer it is, because they have a preferred link that Yoast says this is a good link for you to have as a site title. So if you got all A's in school and you can't stand to not get a 100%, then, just keep going until it's all the way full, and then if you go too far, then it's going to turn red and it's going to tell you that's too long because your words are getting kind of cut off. So what is this right here? This is what Yoast is saying your blog post is going to look like in a search engine, right? So we can see the preview as a mobile result or a desktop result. So you see the difference there. So you can just kind of see as you're working through it, this is what my blog post is going to look like in a search engine. So you'll see this. Please provide a meta description by editing the snippet below. That's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to add a meta description. So here you just want to be kind of descriptive about what the blog post is about. So this is a blog post about great stuff and it has awesome wedding photos. Okay, and so then again it gives you an indicator on the length of the preferred length of how much information you should be putting in that little box there. So edit it until it works for you, until you feel like it's at a good place. So then you can go back and forth between the desktop result, the mobile result. So let's talk about this little image that's showing up right here, because this is another important one. So again, Yoast is looking at your blog post and it's finding an image and then it's putting that here. But you can actually control what that image is specifically on your blog post. It doesn't have to be some random image, because sometimes Yoast is going to get it right and they're going to pick a great image. Like this is a great image to have for this blog post, but sometimes they're going to pick it wrong. And maybe you've got like a meme of SpongeBob SquarePants and you don't want that to be what people are seeing when they search for your blog post, right? So the way that we change that is over in this console on the very far right where we said, you've got block and post. You want to go back to post, okay? You've got a lot of different options here, but we're gonna set this featured image, okay? And so I'm just gonna use this image. Well, let's use there we go, a landscape image. We're gonna set that as our featured image. Now when we scroll down, we go, oh, look, it changed, because this image is associated with your featured image on the post settings over here on. So we were just talking about featured images and the importance of putting them into the settings on your WordPress blog posts so that Yoast SEO knows which image to show people when they search for things like your blog post in search engines like Google. Okay, let's talk about a few other options here on the right hand side. With our settings. A lot of these don't matter whatsoever, right? Like this stuff over here, visibility, public, being private or password protected, that doesn't really matter, right? Like most of the time, you're not writing a blog post in order for it to be private, right? You're writing a blog post in order for it to be public. The reason you'd want to do private is if you've got editors on your team that's going to look through your blog post and like edit out all your mistakes or make changes or whatever. Password protected would be for people that maybe they've paid to have access to a certain portion of your site or whatever. But more than likely, the only thing that you need to worry about is just setting the visibility to public. Now, one fun thing that you can do is you can set a date. Like let's say you want to create a blog post, but you don't want it to go live until, a week after the couple has gotten all the shots from you from their wedding, right? So then you say, okay, the couple's going to get the photos on the 21st, so I'm going to make this go live on the 28th, right? And then you set that, and then you look here, and rather than say publish, this blue button says schedule. So that means that it's actually not going to go live until May 28th, 2022 at 5:15 p.m. my time. Now, that's not our situation, so we turn it back, and then it says publish, okay? So this gives you a little snippet of the Yoast SEO score. I wouldn't worry too much about that until you want to get really into blogging, but just know that it's in there. It's saying that we have 2 revisions right here. We see that this is our URL. So this is the link that we share with people in order to find our blog post. So like if we are sending our page to different vendors to say, hey, would you like to feature this shoot that I did for a couple at your venue? Then you can send them this link and then maybe they'll use it or not. So this would be what you send them. So another somewhat important thing, especially when it comes to your Showit site and how your single blog post and your blog post list are set up, are categories and tags. Okay. So typically you want to add a category and some tags to your blog post so that users can find certain things that they're looking for, right? So WordPress makes it really easy. If somebody says, I like this person's website, but I only want to read their blog post about married couples, or I only want to read their blog posts about elopements, right? So then you add a category that is associated with the type of blog post that you're writing. And I'm mentioning photography a lot. It doesn't have to be any of that. Like let's say you're a caterer, right? So let's say you catered a anniversary dinner, you catered somebody's retirement party, right? Then you would categorize it as a retirement party or anniversary, or maybe you do it by meal type, like it's a Italian food or it's a French cuisine or whatever it is, right? So you add that and then you tag that with the post that you have created. Now, automatically it's going to be uncategorized and you want to add at least something, right? So this is a wedding blog post because we got wedding photos. So I'm just going to add weddings, and you can add as many categories as you want, right? We could do elopement. We could do business, right? We can do whatever, and then you can check it off or turn it back on. You just want to have something that way. It makes it a little bit easier for people to find as they're kind of searching through your site. Now, another thing that you can do is add a tag. And tags are kind of like a subset of your category, right? So you would have weddings, and then you would have like, small family weddings, or you could have weddings with pets, like just something that is a little more descriptive. It's a little more of a subsection of that main category. But that's another way for people to find your blog posts. And it's actually another way to target the types of posts within your settings on Showit, right? So you can come over to Showit and say, I want this blog post here to actually not get all of my blog posts. I want it to only look for, weddings with pets, right? So that would mean that the only blog posts that show up on this page are blog posts that are tagged with this tag name, right? And, I know it's like you would kind of assume that it would just be weddings with pets, but you have to add those dashes in there to kind of make sure that it's showing up. But that is kind of why it's important to add those tags as you're kind of moving forward, is it will help you to kind of pinpoint the different types of blog posts that you are able to show within a specific Showit page. But that's really it, right? You've got different things. You've got like an excerpt it says optional. It's not really a big deal. You can turn off comments. You can allow pingbacks or trackbacks. That's not even really important. What that means is if somebody references your website, you get what's called a pingback, and it'll show up in your comment. But that's not even a really big deal. The main things that you need to focus on with your blog post is obviously a good title with good comment. You've got good images that you've put in your gallery. You've added an SEO title and a meta description. You've added some categories and some tags over here on the right, and you've added a featured image. If you are doing that, I give you an A++, okay? You have got a certified passing grade from Chris at Showit. So it's super simple, super fun to do. And we're gonna switch back to video here, and we're gonna open up for just some time to kind of chat through some things. If you've got questions that as I've been going through this stuff that you're like, thanks for that, Chris. Could you slow down a little bit, or could you go back through this thing here and just kind of talk through what you were doing here? That's what we're going to do right now. And if you don't have any questions, then we'll just do like a Disney family sing-along or something. We'll sing A Whole New World together, and it'll be a lot of fun. If you haven't been around any of our Showit conferences, then you might not know that we here at Showit love karaoke, right? And so we have a good time just singing together and making ourselves look like fools. So I am going to look on the comments here and just see if there is something that I can be helpful with. There is Carmen. She has been with us from the very beginning. And Carmen says, how do you add /link categories to your WordPress website? Currently, my WordPress does not have any categories, but my Showit template has lists of categories. So my questions includes how to create categories or both. Okay, so let's go through this. Now, there might be a little bit of troubleshooting that I'm not necessarily able to like get you 100% of the way there. So that being said, if I can't, Carmen, please reach out to our Showit support team. They're awesome. They're much nicer than I am, and typically they're a lot funnier. So you might have a lot better time actually working this out with them. But I'm going to show you a few things to look for if they're not showing up. Obviously, the main thing is like, okay, let me just publish this so that we can go back without it barking at me. So I'm going to go to another blog post that is just a random blog post, okay? The first place to look for categories is in this far right. Now, if you don't see it, maybe it's toggled. Like you got to come in and move this down arrow up, and it could be there. You could add a new category, and you can add tags here. So another place to look is if you go over to your WordPress dashboard, go over your posts, and you'll see on as you scroll over, it pops out another menu and go to categories. You should see all the categories that you have added to your blog post right here, okay? And then you can also see your tags. Now, if you're trying to target specific categories or specific tags on your WordPress blog site, right? So you've come over here, and let's just say, rather than just having a general blog, we're going to say that we want this to be a blog for weddings, right? So then I'm going to come over here, and in the WordPress post list, right? And in post loop, you'll see here on the right where it says Canvas on WordPress, you just want to come down to post view lookup. And then in this category slug, that's where we want to take our category that we're trying to target, and we want to put that in there. So right over here, we don't want to copy this. This is the nice name, okay? So if you have two words like fun weddings, like it'd be fun space weddings. But over here, it's going to be fun dash weddings. So you want to copy the slug right over here. So I'm going to copy that, come back in, and then I'm going to paste it. Now it's only going to look for blog posts that I have it said are for weddings. So I publish that, and that should be how you get there. So if that's not super helpful, then for sure reach out to support, and they should be able to help you get you set on the right path as well. But it's likely that there's something in there that you can find that is going to kind of help you. Oh, thank you, Carmen. You're nice and fun too. I like you a lot. Okay, so Lifestyled by Jen Clements. I have a very beginner question. Once we hit publish, then is it automatically live on our Showit? So once I'm going to assume you mean once you hit publish on your blog post, and the answer to that is yes, right? So you can come in, and it'll actually, when you publish it, it'll say post updated, and it'll give you a view post link, and then you can just kind of see it, right? And you'll see that it's showing up. So my settings aren't quite set up correctly, so I'm not going to troubleshoot that just yet, but you should be able to see it live, right? So if you want to unpublish it, all you have to do is come back and set it to private, or you can go and set it to a date in the future, right? And then, you go to update, and it'll take that off of the main site, so you can move that to trash or whatever. So hope that helps, Miss Jen, and thank you for watching today. So, okay, looks like comments are slowing down, so I just want to say thank you for hanging out with us today. It has been a lot of fun. We've got some other great webinars coming up that are going to be a lot of fun within the next few weeks. So as Jed gets my video back up here on the screen, so you can see my face and see if there's anything in my teeth. Okay, good, there's not. We've got some other webinars coming up. So if you're not subscribed to our Showit email subscriber list, please do that, because that's where all the updates are coming from. And so there's some other folks who are going to have a lot awesome, more insight than I could give you, who are just great, awesome, knowledgeable people. So make sure that you're signing up for that. Don't forget to sign up for Spark. We've got Spark coming up. It's just a few months away. Spark.showit.co. It is not just a conference for photographers. It is a conference for creative entrepreneurs. So we've got a lot of speakers from a lot of industries coming to give us amazing insight. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I will get to give you a hug personally. We can sit down and I can show you how to do this stuff in a real life. Hey, until next time, we're so glad that you're here. We're so glad that you made it through all the ins and outs of the internets. Hey, keep being creative and pushing the links of your creativity, so you can show other people just how awesome you are. Showit, right? That's the name of the company, and that's what we are hoping you will do. Until next time, have a good one. We'll see you soon.